So we're here to talk about how brands are personalizing the customer journey in modern marketing. There's a lot to get into in this. You know, we've had a bit of future gazing from Christina in the session before the break, heard a lot about how cookieless is going to impact this. So we've got some people with some really great opinions on this joining me. Panel, can you introduce yourselves? Chris.
Hello, mic test. Good morning, everybody. My name is Chris Legaspi. I'm originally from the Philippines. I am based in Jakarta, Indonesia. I work for a company called Archipelago International. We're a hotel management company. I lead the commercial team as the vice president for commercial. We have hotels in Asia Pacific, Latin America, now Africa as well. So hello to this session.
Doreen.
Yes, hi, I'm Doreen. In short, I'm a loop disruptor. So at Hivestack, we are a global full-stack technology platform that specializes in digital out-of-home. So on a day-to-day basis, I work with media owners and brands, advertisers, agencies, omnichannel partners to look at how we could best maximize your programmatic digital out-of-home budgets. We have a global footprint. We are in APAC, in most of the regions. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Gonzalo. I lead MullenLowe in Singapore and growth for the region, actually, for entire APAC. And MullenLowe is a creative agency at heart, but we increasingly do more and more CX work and personalization work for clients.
And Snigdha.
Hey, everyone. I'm Snigdha. And I look after B2C and digital marketing for the Asia Pacific region for Mastercard. That covers Greater China, Japan, Korea, India, and the Southeast Asia region. Thank you.
Cool. Well, thank you very much again for joining me. So we heard in the session before the break from Christina that there's a bit of a disconnect in terms of brands or marketers. 62% of them think they are providing good personalization, whereas only 15% of consumers believe that they are being well personalized too. One of the hottest topics for this year is going to be cookieless and the deprecation of the cookie. How can personalization get better in this new era? Doreen.
Okay, so programmatic digital out-of-home has been kind of like an emerging trend. And definitely moving in a cookieless future presents both challenge and also unique opportunities for us. So the channel kind of inherit the benefit that digital out-of-home or out-of-home is perceived as or generally known to be privacy safe. So it's a medium that has worked for brands with we are able to operate without personal identifiers. It has always been the medium working around aggregated data. So we make sense of footfall traffic. We make sense of location data to activate our campaigns. So it definitely has the ability to kind of adapt and thrive when we move into a cookieless future. Simply, I kind of look at it in three ways. One, definitely the contextual targeting. Without personal identifier, we could make sense out of contextual information that is tagged to real time, like weather, time of day, location-based information. The other piece would definitely be first-party data utilization. So first-party data utilization, we're looking at gathering audience data in the physical world where they interact with your ads. And finally, I do see that data collaborations could happen. I guess, you know, in the market, all of us own some kind of information from data providers, media owners, and also advertisers. Everybody do their own CRM. Everybody is collecting aggressively collecting their own sets of data, and we will come to a point where collaborations between partners, where we kind of share this information in a very privacy-safe world through, you know, ad tech platforms like ourselves. This is where you could actually kind of personalize content in a smarter way.
Cool. And yeah, Chris, I mean, hotels traditionally the great personalizers anyway.
Oh, indeed.
Yeah. How are you seeing this personalization get smarter?
Well, first and foremost, yeah, the hotel business. In the hotel business, first-hand data has always been there. We used to call it guest history profiling. So whenever you step in a hotel, you stay in a hotel, we know what's your favorite juice, what's your favorite, how you'd like your egg to be, what do you like, what type of chocolates do you like, and all of that. So we're very good in getting all of this first-hand data. And hotel business as well is, hoteliers are very good in collaboration. So we collaborate with different companies in terms of, well, sharing data and all of that, in terms of attracting the market related to what we can offer, basically.
Yeah. And Gonzalo, you're guiding brands through this era of personalization. How are you seeing the industry at the moment?
I think there needs to be a bit of maybe a change in approach, because I do feel that personalization cannot be a goal or an end in itself. It's a means to an end, right? And I feel that the reality is that very often we try to personalize all content at all times, and it might not be expected by people or by the audience in itself, right? And I do feel it's time for brands to start looking at when the content needs to be personalized, when it just needs to be contextual, but always respectful of someone's privacy and someone's expectation.
Yeah. Snigdha, you're coming at this from a brand point of view with Mastercard and the work you do. How are you seeing the role of data analytics and insights really impacting customer behavior and how you speak to them?
Yeah, so, okay, at Mastercard particularly, data privacy is really, really key. And our guidelines are very stringent. Each and every campaign that we do actually goes through a privacy attorney who looks through every campaign and the use case. So it's really tricky there in terms of data usage, but in terms of using data analytics and consumer insights, I can share a little bit of example from my previous workplace, which was PayPal. And during the pandemic, when we were all facing these era of changes across every single thing, e-commerce was also evolving, right? And what we were noticing was that our performance marketing was really like the results were dropping down, and we were not, able to acquire this kind of consumers that we were after. And then we started looking at data to see certain organic trends emerging. For example, food delivery, online entertainment, gaming, online education, home were certain verticals where we were seeing spike in consumer, behavior organically, and then that gave us a cue that it's an opportunity to have a targeted approach, even on the media side for these segments, both from a creative messaging and targeting perspective. So I think data plays a really key role, in making your messaging personalized, and then we really saw the results turning around on that. So it was something very, very interesting.
Yeah, and Doreen, how are you seeing with Hivestack? How are you seeing the brands using data and how you guide them through personalization?
I guess being in an out-of-home space, we all agree that we can't target people down to an individual level. But contextually, most of the screens, because of mobility and insights, we kind of make sense a lot about the environment, and the environment where the ads are being placed kind of help to personalize content. So for example, real-time data, if you're selling an umbrella, very easily you kind of think if you are able to trigger to your audiences to say, next 15 minutes, likely we're going to forecast raining, you're going to see the uplift of the umbrella ad sale. So it's like the good old days where Giordano, each time where there's a rain event, they kind of push out all the umbrellas and give them all at a very special price. So this kind of contextual personalization could be one key way of reaching out to audiences. We also see personalization of content with, for example, time of day, simply, ads driving at lunch promos, dinner promos. So in that context, personalization in the out-of-home space could happen.
Yeah, and we're seeing a lot of new platforms emerge. You've mentioned out-of-home, the CTV is coming up as well. And how are the programmatic approaches really helping with that and really kind of convincing brands to change their spend to go into different channels and omnichannel approach?
I guess with out-of-home, where we are working largely with anonymized data, we are effectively providing a very safe space for brands to transact. So in a way, how I would kind of look at it is that on top of being a safe space as a tech partner to provide that safe space for our brands to transact, we could leverage on real-time bidding, where you are able to contextually kind of bid based on your conditions. So with real-time bidding, customizing segments and content strategy, this is where you could actually increase the effectiveness of a campaign.
Cool. And Chris, we had a chat before the panel about how hotels are, finding new platforms, finding new ways to reach their consumers. How are you seeing that work in practice, and what's been really effective for you as well?
Oh, yes. So in the hotel business, we always believe that we have to be where our clients would like to chat or would like to talk to us. So be it in TikTok, be it in Facebook, be it in whichever social media or any platform. It can be an email. So wherever the client is comfortable to reach out to us, we should be there. So we've always believed in omnipresence and omnichannels and adapting to what they need. I mean, who knows? This particular channel is more of between 18 to 20 years old, so we have to cater to that. Some would be 50 to 70 years old. We have to have proper materials to personalize all of the requirements for those age range, for example. So it has worked effectively for all of us in the hotel business, and it also has evolved further. For example, nowadays, with the aid of AI, we are able to show clients specifically which hotel they would prefer. For example, out of 300 hotels we have, we can show them, for example, a particular region based on what they normally look for.
Cool. Well, we'll come back to AI at the end. I think there's a deeper conversation to get into there, so I'll leave that for the end before I pick that one back up. Gonzalo, in terms of the omnichannel approach, how are you seeing that play out in the market?
Yeah, I feel often it's not right for everybody. I guess that's the headline. I do feel there has been a lot of talk about it, but I do feel there are a lot of exceptions, right? You could be a B2B brand in which your touch points are very limited to your customers, and there are only a few touch points that are truly meaningful. You could be in healthcare, and then a lot of touch points are regulated, and then you need to be careful with where you reach customers saying what. Or you simply could have a brand equity or a brand perception that is not strong enough. And then by diluting that into very different channels, it will be seen the gaps in between. So I guess there are many exceptions, and also omnichannel, setting up a proper omnichannel approach and maintaining it is very costly. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of time, it takes a lot of investment. And it might not be right if your business or your brand is not ready to take it on board. It might be better that you focus on the 3 or 4 key touch points that are driving your business before setting up an omnichannel that is going to require a lot of effort and a lot of manpower on your side and a lot of partnerships, agencies, consultancies to drive in a moment in which you might not need it yet. So I will say it's a great thing to have, and you can see the value in brands that have a strong brand equity, a lot of touch points to interact with people, and people expect to be interacted with in those touch points, and not highly regulated. But if you are not fulfilling all of those, it might not be right for you.
Yeah, I suppose that's another level of personalization is knowing not only what your customers like, but the platforms they like to receive it on, and how that leads to improved ROI, how that really helps with reaching your target audience. Doreen, how do you feel regarding that?
I totally agree. I think omnichannel are great. It's proven to be effective, but it also depends on which part of the product cycle we are on. But broadly speaking, because we are exposed to multiple devices, screens on a daily basis, it's kind of, you can't lose anybody along the way with an omnichannel strategy, right? So of course, there'll be channels that will engage better with the 18 to 25, and there'll be channels that works better for 40 to 50. So I guess it's important to consider the entire consumer journey prior to looking at what's omnichannel strategy, right? Where are your customers, where they actually interact with them. Sometimes too much is not to your advantage. So this is where, because with so much screen exposure, we have limited mental, ability to capture all this information. And increasingly, I mean, even for myself, I find that, you know, sometimes you feel whether Facebook is tracking you, is WhatsApp listening to you, because, you know, you just feel that ad fatigue because having too much is just not the best. So kind of, when you kind of focus on the consumer journey, then that's where people feel a little bit more accepting, where they kind of get exposed to your ads in the environment that I actually feel comfortable with. So it's more, I think it does definitely generate value, but definitely it depends on where you're looking.
Yeah, I think it's the great dichotomy of personalization is the useful and the creepy is the two sides of the argument. Gonzalo, I know you've mentioned recently a really good example on LinkedIn regarding someone, you know, bringing you some cold beers and then someone else. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's an example that I used a couple of times to explain this to some of our clients. So it's like, imagine you're having dinner in your place with your friends and you are talking about your favorite beer, and you mentioned your favorite beer is Kona, it's a Hawaiian beer, and you love it, the flavor is amazing and whatever. And then after a couple of weeks, one of your friends shows up in your house, they knock on the door and they say, I brought you a pack of Kona, I remember our conversation, I was around the neighborhood, let's drink it together. You feel amazing, right? You feel like they listen to you, you feel like they cared. But imagine now that knocking on the door instead of your friend is the neighbor. And he tells you, I happened to be up late that night and I was listening through the wall and I heard you talking about beer, and it happens that Kona is also great for me, so I brought you a pack. How do you feel? You feel like you didn't want him to have that information, right? And it's exactly the same beer, it's exactly the same moment, but you feel entirely different because you didn't want them or you didn't authorize them to have that information from you. And I think it took certain social platforms a long time to understand that. Personalization is not a natural human desire. People don't wake up in the morning and say, I want everything to be personalized. That's not what they want. The ultimate natural desire can be relationship building or being listened to. Those are natural human desires. So personalization needs to be a means to get people to feel listened to feel they're building a relationship and to feel valued, not just personalized for the sake of it.
Yeah, you know, you say people don't wake up automatically wanting personalization. I think, Chris, you're representing the one industry that's not true. I woke up, I arrived at my hotel that I stayed in a year ago, and on my first morning at breakfast, they said, oh, Mr. Still, your double espresso. I was like, yes, you remembered. So yes. People do like that in a hotel.
Well, one of the things that we're trained in the hotel is also to understand which information a particular guest doesn't want. So, for example, we also know if a certain guest doesn't like to be disturbed during breakfast, or they're flattered to be called by their first name or their last name, or Your Majesty, for example. So we are all trained to handle this data, for example.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's interesting how that's not considered creepy in your line of hotel work, when in fact it might be across any other part of the industry.
Definitely.
Yeah. Snigdha, in terms of the omnichannel approach in Mastercard, how are you seeing that, and how are you using that to reach your consumers?
Yeah, so I agree with, you know, what everybody shared here, that not for every campaign or not for every audience, omnichannel is right. It solely depends on your audience as well as your goal. So I'll give you an example where, you know, we were running a travel-based campaign for overseas travelers, and like very clearly pointed out, you know, we mapped the entire journey from the time that they start dreaming to planning to booking their travel. And for that particular audience and the goals that we had for the campaign, which was brand goals as well as, you know, making Mastercard the preferred way to pay for your overseas travel, which was also, you know, driving transactions, omnichannel made sense, because when you're dreaming about your travel, you're reading blogs and, you need to be there. When you're booking, you're on, you know, the Agodas of the world, and, you know, you need to be there. And then when you're traveling and experiencing out of home, and all of these channels are relevant. So omnichannel makes sense there. But then there was another campaign that we were running for, you know, cricket audiences. All of these fans were on social. The goal was to drive contest entries. And for that, you know, omnichannel wasn't a good option, because you are trying to grow your social metrics, and you're also trying to drive, you know, brand love and like interest towards the contest that you were running. So it's so dependent on, you know, what your goals are as well.
Yeah. One of the final talking points I want us to hit is, as Chris mentioned earlier, AI and how that's really having an impact on the industry. Snigdha, I know you've been, dabbling in the area and have had some interesting campaigns to discuss. How do you see AI shaking up personalization?
Yeah, I think AI would be one of the strongest tools to shape personalization, because that's something that brands own, right? So they have the data, they're using it to personalize it, and it's not involving cookies for sure. So at Mastercard, there is a goal of us to be an AI powerhouse and to have AI, strengthen and optimize all our products and solutions. We actually use AI to sort of manage and look through transactions to prevent frauds, etc., and to keep transactions secure. But at marketing, we have this tool as well called Digital Engine, where it helps in serving ads real time to consumers based on micro trends. So as an example, if in Singapore there's a bubble tea trend or there's a sushi trend that's emerging, it's tracked as a micro trend, and it gives an opportunity for marketers to serve priceless experiences. So we have this platform called priceless.com, which serves priceless experiences. You will get the most exquisite experience around either, sushi or like a fine dining experience on it, or like a bubble tea experience for that matter. So yeah, I think that's how we are using, AI within the space.
Yeah, Doreen, how do you think that AI can really push on the consumer journey and personalization?
We don't really see it at Hivestack yet. We're building on that. I'll just draw my experience from the previous out-of-home media owner experience. So essentially, there are lots of AI tools that help to predict where are the opportunities that you are able to meet your potential audiences. So you look at culture AI, such as Clue, where they actually ingest millions of data points in terms of activities that we're doing. Through machine learning, they could actually do predictive opportunities on certain locations that you potentially could meet your target audience. So it's more like a look-alike, right? On top of that, I think we do own some set of first-party data, but the chances of activating first-party data, currently the big challenge that we're seeing is that low match rates. So because we are kind of building our own data sets with different partners, and therefore this is where the next part is we can look at how we could curate similar audiences. So by curating similar audiences, you not only reach out to your existing clients, also you have the opportunity to reach out similar profile future clients.
Yeah, and Chris, how, we've talked about hotels traditionally being big on personalization. How is AI going to augment that, change that? How do you see it?
Oh, yes. So since long time ago, AI has always been, before it was called AI actually, it's been present in the hotel business. It has been helping us in terms of pricing strategy, revenue management. It has helped us also listen to guest comments, guest complaints, and all of that. It has also now evolved in helping us proactively suggest additional things for the guests, how to make things a lot better for them, experiences, and all of that. So this has evolved in the hotel business in terms of AI. Of course, taking out also, aside from those, other AIs involved in service, for example. In our case, we have what you call the butler, where it assists our guests. As soon as they make a reservation, a butler would be helping you. There you go.
Yeah, so it's, it's helping push that customer service to the next level as well, and personalizing that journey. Gonzalo, how are you, how is AI shaking up personalization on the agency side?
I think for me, I'm a big supporter of using AI, but I will say we need to see from the let's use AI just in case to let's use AI just in time, right, in the right time. I think for an agency, what we tend to do is removing a lot of the stuff that before it was taking a lot of time to do without added value, meeting minutes, getting a recap on a long conversation, which now can be automated, right? And for some processes like testing concepts, it's much easier to bring to life one to meet journey or one visual to test rather than drawing. So there are some things that we are replacing with AI, and we are seeing a difference because the same people that were doing that work can focus on stuff that requires higher human thinking and intellect to work with. And I think that's the value right now for us as a creative agency. in some clients, in how we influence them customer experience with AI, I do think sometimes there is a bit of an abuse of AI. And I feel I myself keep being targeted. I'm sure you have been, and you can identify some of the emails you receive are written by AI. How does it make you feel? It's the worst feeling in a consumer when you feel like you are not worth of the brand's time. So my advice is, rather than sending 2 emails a week, send once every 6 months, but make it human, make it relevant, make it worth reading, and make the person feel like they are being appreciated. Because the moment you start seeing that every interaction with a brand happens on AI, you start questioning how important am I to them. And that's the worst question that someone can ask.
Yeah, would you say that's, it's personalization for personalization's sake, at scale, at speed, rather than actually really caring about your consumer?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you all very much, guys. That's all we have time for in this session, but really appreciate it. Loved your insights. Thank you very much. Round of applause for them, please.